Lift your wife's shirt and prove she's actually pregnant, or you'll both face daily fines. That's what I heard, first thing in the morning, the moment I opened my door. There stood Marjorie Kent, vice president of Maple Ridge Estates HOA, face locked in stone, clipboard gripped like a badge of authority, eyes already peering past me into the hallway, zeroing in on Ava. My wife was standing behind me, hand cradling her belly, the way you do when you're hoping to protect something precious from strangers who think rules matter more than people. And Marjorie, not so much as a blink, just shoves this paper at my chest with pregnancy verification order in all caps across the top, like we'd just checked into some dystopian hospital instead of our own home. She says, "Our alleged pregnancy must be inspected by HOA officials. Board wants immediate compliance. Any refusal is grounds for disciplinary action, up to and including removal of any unverified dependents from the home." Like my unborn child was just a box on her spreadsheet. She leaned in, breath sharp, voice syrupy with suspicion. Ava could be lying, faking it, seeking sympathy, until we check her body ourselves. This won't count as a qualifying family. You know that feeling when someone tries to look right through you? That's what it was, her trying to own the air in our hallway, trying to turn women's privacy into her own personal playground. But what she didn't know, everything on my property is recorded. Always. I let that hang in the air, real quiet. Her mouth twisted just enough to know she felt it. And let me tell you, that was the last easy moment either of us had. Let me back up a sec. I'm Ethan Morales. I spent years as a private investigator after a stretch in Air Force security. If you're looking for someone who understands how abuse of power works, you're looking at him. But you know, I never expected the front line to land right on my porch, aimed at my wife and the only child we'd managed to carry this far. 5 years of trying, 2 heartbreaks, and suddenly every hope we'd rebuilt was balanced on a swing I built by the lake, literally. That porch swing is Ava's lifeline. She traces the wood every morning, like she's making sure we're still here, still breathing. That's our symbol, you know? Survival. But Marjorie's eyes flicked over to that swing, and just like that, she called it unapproved construction. Contraband. She marked it for removal with the same voice she used to talk about Ava's pregnancy. That's when I realized this wasn't just about rules, it was about control. She stared Ava down, measuring her like she could spot a lie in the curve of her dress. I shifted my body, blocking her view, every muscle in my jaw begging for restraint. "You're hiding something," she hissed, her voice all ice. "Mothers don't need to conceal proof." Ava flinched, her hand shaking so hard I could hear her rings clink against the wall. All those what-ifs rushed in. What if stress hurts the baby? What if we have to move? What if everything collapses in a single moment of cruelty? I kept my tone steady, but every word had weight. "You need to leave our property." But she just wrote us up for non-cooperative maternal conduct. That's not even a real thing. She made it up, just to see if she could. She told me Maple Ridge remains a respectable neighborhood because people like her police the wombs, as if decency was hers to decide. I recognized it. That look in her eyes, the way bullies lean, and when they think they can break you. She promised this was just the beginning. I watched her go, clipboard swinging, face tight. But you know, evidence only matters if you're willing to use it. Back inside, Ava collapsed onto the couch, hands locked around her stomach, breath coming fast and shallow. I knelt down, told her she was safe. Felt like a lie, because people like Marjorie don't stop when they're told. They come back, they escalate. I got her water, coaxed her to stay on the couch. She didn't want to be in the bedroom anymore. Not with those windows, not with her fear that someone would be out there watching. I slipped outside. The swing had a violation sticker on it now. Orange, ugly, unauthorized structure. Remove immediately. If she took that swing, she'd be tearing out Ava's heart. I peeled off the sticker, slipped it into my pocket as evidence, and checked the mailbox. Another notice. This one outlining family verification, including mandatory pregnancy inspections. No signatures from the board, just Marjorie's. She was acting alone or hiding something. I needed to know which. I headed for the community bulletin board. Right there. In the middle of the announcements were anonymous complaints about families faking pregnancies for HOA benefits. Red question marks scribbled over 2 other family announcements. One couple, Expecting twins, another had adopted and their photo was defaced. It was targeted, calculated. I took photos from every angle, documented it all. People walked past, some offering quick, guilty glances, others glaring, unsure what to believe. A cart rolled by, the maintenance guy. He slowed just enough to whisper, "Watch your back. She's been building this case for weeks." Then he was gone. Just like that, even the calmest part of this place felt hostile. If I could prove it was systemic, I'd have leverage. Harassment, discrimination, retaliatory fines, those bring in outside authority, fast. My phone buzzed. Ava, texting. "Are you okay?" "It's too quiet." I hurried home. Ava was outside now, on the swing, small against the twilight, tracing circles on her belly. I told her what I found, left out the worst. She offered to move, start over somewhere new. But we bought this home for our child. The lake, the swing, the nursery painted sky blue. I promised her. Nobody would take it from us. The yard lights flickered on, making the houses look less like homes and more like sentinels. That's when I knew this was bigger than us. This was about who's allowed to have a family inside these gates. I had evidence, but not enough. I told Ava I needed to take a walk. The only place gossip flows openly is the community garden by the clubhouse, neighbors pretending to plant vegetables, but really it's a battlefield of alliances. As I got closer, laughter stopped, people shifted away. I kept moving, listened. Behind me, pregnancy, swing, faking it. My blood heated, but evidence mattered more. That's where I saw Jeremy Cole, new board member, early 30s, glasses always slipping, looked like he wanted to disappear. He flinched when I approached. "You shouldn't be out here," he muttered, voice barely above a whisper. I pressed, kept it gentle. He twisted his gardening gloves until his knuckles went white. "Marjorie isn't supposed to create rules alone," he blurted out, then shrank back. Unauthorized policy, proof she was acting beyond her legal limits. I asked who else she'd targeted. He shook his head, then slipped me a note. "Park bench, 10 p.m., no phones." He was scared, but he was willing to help. I pocketed the note, made my way home. That night, under the cover of darkness, I saw Marjorie on the far side of the lake. Camera lens pointed at my house. She was building her case, trying to paint us as unstable. I flashed my light at her. She jerked, then glared, mouthing, "You will lose," before storming away. That's when Jeremy showed up, looking like he'd sprinted through every bad decision of his life. He spilled everything: secret meetings, closed-door votes, lists of priority verifications with Ava. At the top, he hadn't voted for it, but he hadn't voted against it either. Fear makes accomplices out of good people. He told me Marjorie's real motive. She was after the board presidency. If she could expose a fake pregnancy, she'd look like a hero to the HOA, secure grant money for the neighborhood, prove her value. She even forged state documents to make her threats look real. He slipped me a sealed envelope, then vanished. Proof, emails, drafts, all of it. I spent the rest of the night compiling everything: violation stickers, mailbox notices, policy printouts. Now Jeremy's evidence. By morning, I had enough to make a case. I drove to the courthouse, folder in hand, laid it all out: restraining order for harassment, stalking, illegal medical intrusion. The clerk didn't even blink when I said Marjorie's name. The judge took one look at the stack, read through, and granted the order. "This isn't just harassment," he said. "This is abuse of power." Marjorie was barred from our property, Ava protected. The city housing authority got looped in too. But people like Marjorie don't fold easy. The next day, the HOA threw a cookout for family. Unity Day. Marjorie took the stage, smiling like she owned the world, and started pushing for mandatory family status documentation, unannounced residency checks, and, yeah, immediate inspection. Rights for suspected deception. She even referenced our restraining order on the mic, which violated it on the spot. I caught it all on video. Ava nearly fainted from the stress, but before we left, Sarah from the cul-de-sac came over and handed her water. "We believe you," she whispered. That kindness cut deeper than any cruelty Marjorie had thrown at us. Back home, Jeremy showed up. Again, this time with a flash drive. "She's not just doing this for power," he told me. "There's money, state incentives. The more verified biological dependents, the more funding. She needs someone to fail so she can look strong. He handed over everything. Fake memos, threats to other board members, email threads targeting our family specifically. Stop her before she destroys someone's life, he begged. That was it. I compiled it all, sent the full report to the Attorney General's office, the City Housing Authority, and a local reporter. Then I notified the board. Recommended immediate suspension of any medical inspection policies. Tuesday night, HOA board meeting. I came loaded for bear, folder, restraining order, backup drive. The room was tense, full of residents wondering whose side to take. Marjorie started her pitch, smiling for the crowd, but she never got through her first paragraph. Deputies, housing authority reps, and the reporter swept in. She turned white as a sheet. I stood up, restraining order in hand, and called her out for harassment, forgery, medical discrimination, everything. Jeremy found his voice, admitted what he knew, told the board she had threatened and bullied them. The authorities suspended her on the spot. Neighbors, finally, came forward, apologizing for not believing us sooner, pledging to fix what fear had broken. Jeremy promised a new beginning. As I walked home that night, porch light glowing, Ava waiting on the swing, I knew we'd won more than a fight. We'd reclaimed our home. Over the next week, neighbors brought muffins, patched fences, started speaking to us with something like relief in their eyes. Jeremy sat with us on the swing, awkward at first, but grateful. That porch swing became a symbol. The mark from the violation sticker faded, but what it stood for, fighting back, protecting family, choosing courage over fear, never did. Ava's pregnancy stayed strong. We planned the nursery, talked about the future, let ourselves dream. Marjorie, gone. Facing charges, public disgrace. The board, rebuilt, transparent, accountable. The neighborhood, learning what it means to protect its own. If you've ever wondered what real justice looks like, it's this. It's not just a piece of paper from a judge, but a whole community standing up when one voice finally says enough. So, let me ask you, would you fight back, even if it meant standing alone at first? Drop your story in the comments, tell me where you're watching from, and hit subscribe if you believe homeowners should never have to prove their worth to live in peace.